Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. And this time, we are taking on refried beans.
Ooh.
You know, I think they're one of those things everyone thinks they know,
Mm.
and then they really dive in and realize all the nuances. And this is a recipe from Cookie and Kate. I
Okay.
don't know if you are familiar with that blog, but it's very popular. It's got,
Yeah.
just hundreds and hundreds of recipes and very well regarded and easy to make.
Awesome.
And to help us unpack all this, I've got Chelsea here, who is an expert on nutrition and cooking.
Thank you.
So welcome, Chelsea.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk refried beans with you.
Yeah, so this recipe, I mean, it's such a staple, and
Mhm.
it's so easy, and yet people, I think, are intimidated by it. So
Mhm.
let's start by just going through, what are the ingredients here? What are we working with?
All right. So it really is a pretty simple list of ingredients, and a lot of them are probably pantry staples for you. We've got olive oil, we've got onion, garlic, chili powder, cumin, pinto beans, water, and then to finish it off, some fresh cilantro and lime juice.
Okay, so really, like you said, pantry staples. I mean, everyone's got
Semi much, yeah.
onions and garlic. And
Exactly.
so when we're talking about the beans, like I know the recipe calls for pinto beans, but are there other options or?
Yeah,
Mm.
so the recipe specifically calls for pinto beans, but it does say that you can substitute black beans if you'd like. You will get a little bit chunkier of a texture if you do that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that would be fine. And you could even experiment with other beans like kidney beans or cannellini beans.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so black beans chunkier. So I guess it depends what your preference is.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you like them smooth or if you like a
Mm.
little more texture.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got our ingredients all prepped.
Yes.
What's the first step here? How do we get going at this?
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is heat our olive oil in a saucepan over medium heat. And while that's warming up, we're going to finely chop our onion.
Okay, so we're really, I mean, finely chopping. We're not just like,
Finely chop, yeah. It
Yeah.
makes a big difference in the texture of the final product.
interesting. Okay, so get that nice and fine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay, once your olive oil is nice and hot and shimmering his out, toss in your onions with a pinch of salt and cook them until they soften and turn translucent. It should take about 5 to 8 minutes.
Okay, so we're not rushing this process. We're really letting them.
No, we're not rushing.
Okay,
It's all about building flavor here.
got it. So you know those onions are working their magic. And then what happens?
While the onions are cooking, we can mince our garlic and measure out our chili powder and cumin.
Okay, so we've got everything ready to go. And then what happens when the onions are sort of at that translucent point?
All right, so once your onions are translucent, add the garlic, chili powder, and cumin to the pan and stir it all together. Cook this for about 30 seconds or just until you can really smell the spices. They should be nice and fragrant.
I bet that smells good.
Yes. Okay, and then it is time to add our beans. So pour in your drained and rinsed beans along with the water. Stir everything together, cover the pot, and let it simmer for about 5 minutes.
Okay, so it's starting to come together here.
Yeah.
Now this is where it gets good,
Yeah.
right? What happens after the 5 minutes?
Okay, so after 5 minutes, turn the heat down to low, remove the lid and grab your potato masher, or even a fork will do.
Okay.
And we're going to mash at
Mm.
least half of the beans. You can mash more or less depending on your desired texture.
Okay, so I can see how if you like them really, really smooth, you might even break out a food processor or something like that.
Yeah, you could definitely use a food processor if you want them really smooth. I wouldn't recommend a blender for something this thick, though.
Okay, so once we've got them to our preferred consistency, what's next?
All right, so once you've mashed your beans to your liking, continue cooking them for about 3 minutes, stirring frequently.
Hmm.
And then remove the pan from the heat, stir in your cilantro and lime juice, and that is it.
Mm.
And of course, the most important step, taste and adjust the seasoning with more salt or lime juice as needed.
Oh man, I love the lime juice. I could put a ton of lime juice in there. I love that flavor.
Yeah, me too.
Now, if it seems a little bit dry at this point, can you add a little more water? Or
Yes, if your beans seem dry, add a splash or two of water and stir, and then just cover them until you're ready to eat.
Okay, so we've got our refried beans.
Do.
They're ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably eat them right out of the pot. But
Yeah.
before we get to that, I want to talk about the nutritional benefits of this. I mean, this is a pretty healthy
Yes, this is a very healthy dish.
recipe. So what are we getting out of this?
All right, so refried beans are a great source of both protein and fiber, which means they're very filling and satisfying.
Okay.
They're also naturally vegan and gluten-free, so they fit into a lot of different dietary needs.
And that's something that people are, looking for more and more these days.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's a really versatile recipe from that perspective.
It is.
Now, I know we're going to get into some creative ways to use these refried beans beyond just, the obvious. But before we do, I want to remind everyone to check out the Detox Health channel.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of it, but if you haven't, go check it out. It's tons of recipes like this.
Yes, lots of great recipes over there.
Healthy and delicious and easy to make.
Exactly.
So you won't regret subscribing to that.
It's a great resource.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got these refried beans. They're ready. I mean, we could just eat them plain, I guess. But
You could.
what are some ways that we can use these? Like, what are some of your favorite things to do with refried beans?
Okay, so obviously you can do the classic like rice and beans,
Right.
which is delicious, but there are a lot of other ways you can use them too. One of my favorites is to use them as the base for a grain bowl.
Okay.
So you can top them with like roasted vegetables, avocado, some feta cheese, maybe a dollop of Greek yogurt or sour cream, and of course some salsa.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's really delicious, and it's a great way to get a lot of nutrients in one meal.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I'm always looking for things that are like quick and easy, weeknight meals.
Yeah.
That you can just throw together.
Totally.
So what about are there other things besides grain bowls? Like, can you use these in, Mexican dishes or?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you can use them as a filling for tacos, burritos, enchiladas.
Okay.
You could even spread them on a tortilla and bake it for a quesadilla.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and don't forget about breakfast.
Oh, yeah?
You can use refried beans for breakfast, too.
Interesting. Like how?
You can spread them on toast and top it with a fried egg.
Okay.
Or you can stir them into scrambled eggs.
Oh, wow. So it adds some protein and some other nutrients to those eggs.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so, we've covered kind of the recipe, the process, the nutritional benefits.
Yes.
Some serving ideas. Is there anything else that people should keep in mind if they're going to make these refried beans at home?
Yeah. I think the most important thing to remember is that this recipe is really just a starting point.
Yeah.
So you can totally customize it to your liking.
Okay.
If you love garlic, add an extra clove or two. If you want it spicier, add some jalapenos or cayenne pepper.
Right.
And you can also experiment with different herbs and spices.
Interesting. Like what kind of things?
So you could try like smoked paprika or cumin.
Okay.
Those would add some nice flavor.
So it's really about just kind of, tasting as you go.
Exactly.
Making it your own. I like that. And I think, so often people get intimidated by recipes because they think they have to follow it exactly.
Yeah.
But really, like you said, it's a starting point, and you can make it your own.
It's all about having fun in the kitchen.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, Chelsea, this has been really helpful.
Good. I'm glad.
I'm ready to go make some refried beans now.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's important to have fresh ingredients too. Like you were talking about the cilantro and the lime juice. Those are key.
They are key. It really brightens up the flavor and adds a nice fresh touch.
Yeah, those little things can make such a difference. So for everyone listening, if you're looking for more inspiration, healthy recipes, things like this,
yes,
make sure to check out the Detox Health channel and subscribe to that. You'll get tons.
You will. It's a great resource.
Great ideas. And yeah, Chelsea, this has been fantastic.
Right. I'm glad.
I'm inspired to go make these. I'm hungry now.
Awesome. I hope you enjoy them.
Yeah. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on another deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.